GOP 2012 candidates are making a whole lot of noise on the campaign trail and in the debates, but it's not doing them much good. 80% of Republicans say they're not fully committed to any of the candidates yet. 80%. That's not good news, guys. All that pandering to the Tea Party and the extreme right is not working. And now GOP elites are worried the party is heading into a Mitt Romney disaster.
As more and more Republicans come to the conclusion that the Republican Party has found its Michael Dukakis, a technocratic Massachusetts governor running on competence, not ideology.
Michael Dukakis. And Republicans, here's a tip. When ultra-conservative Pat Robertson says you're too extreme, you got a big problem.
Those people in the Republican primary have got to lay off this stuff. They're forcing their leaders, the front runners, into positions that will mean they lose the general election. You'll appeal to the narrow base, and they'll applaud the daylights out of what you're saying, and then you hit the general election and they say, no way.
Joining me now is Steve Kornacki, political columnist for Salon.com, and Aaron McPike, a reporter for Real Clear Politics. Steve, when Pat Robertson says these candidates have gotten too extreme, you know things are bad. But take a look at how over the top they've gone. Herman Cain's campaign has just released a new ad. Hold on to the table and check this out.
We've run a campaign like nobody's ever seen. But then America's never seen a candidate like Herman Cain. We need you to get involved because together we can do this. We can take this country back. I am America. One voice, united we stand. I am
America. It's bad enough what you see, but it happens to be his campaign manager that's doing the ad. The guy with the cigarette and the guy that is talking is his actual campaign manager. So I'm an American. I'm watching this, Steve and Aaron. I'm seeing the guy smoking, leaning up against the wall is going to be the chief of staff in the White House, and the guy doing this is going to be the president.
And there's the guy who right now is in first place in most of the Republican polls that are being taken. Herman Cain is running in first right now. And I think, you know, when you see that number you showed earlier, the 80% who aren't ready to make up their minds right now, and you talked about in the previous segment what happened with Mitt Romney out in Ohio today, where, you know, he backed off this position that everybody in the Tea Party would love him to take, you know, on the union bill out in Ohio, because he knows it's sort of poisoned the general election. Well, that's why 80% won't make up their mind, because Romney's the guy they sort of know they have to go with in the end. Cain's probably the main alternative, and he's putting out videos like that. But Romney still won't come around to them on all their issues. So you're going to have that 80% that just won't say yes to him but don't really have any other options.
Aaron, President Obama is on Jay Leno's tonight, and we have some of the footage. And Jay Leno raised to him about the Republican field of the debate. Listen to what he said.
Now, have you been watching the GOP debates?
I'm going to wait until everybody's voted off the island.
Really?
Once they narrow it down to one or two, I'll start paying attention.
Wait until everyone's voted off the island. Maybe he saw the Cain campaign's ad before he went on, Aaron.
Maybe so. You know, that specific Cain web video, I would say to you that they probably thought they had to do that because one of the big criticisms about Herman Cain right now is that people think he doesn't have any campaign infrastructure. So by this web video, they're putting at least a face and showing who his campaign manager is. A little bit crazy, yes, but that's why they have to do it, because people think that there's no infrastructure. Now, as far as the field is concerned, and that 80%, one thing you have to remember is think about all of the Republicans who ultimately decided not to run. You have John Thune, Haley Barbour, and Mitch Daniels. And those were some likable and well-liked conservatives by the conservative intelligentsia, and they're not in the race. So they have to choose between Mitt Romney, this guy that they don't like, who they don't think is conservative enough, and then on the other end of the spectrum, Rick Perry and Herman Cain. And there's no one really in the middle who really is a mainline conservative that's well-liked.
When you look at the latest polls that just came out, CBS New York Times poll, it has Cain at 25%, Romney 21%, Gingrich 10%, Paul 8%, Perry down to 6%. Now, the disturbing thing, if I'm Romney, is that let's look at Romney's support since June. He in June 24.9, July 22.3, August 18.9, September 21.6, October 24.9. This guy can't catch fire. I mean, he's like just right there. Can't go up, goes a little down, can't go up. How can this guy win when almost 80% of his party consistently wants somebody else?
I'd say he'd be in big trouble if there was somebody else, or if there was a clear sort of consensus somebody else in this race. But the most interesting thing that stands out at me about that poll is Romney's at 21, Cain's at 25, Gingrich is at 10. That means 35% between them are backing candidates who, as Aaron said, do not actually have campaign infrastructures. I believe that Herman Cain and Newt Gingrich are really in this race to become celebrities, to get talk shows, to sell books, more than they are to actually run and win the presidency. So if that's the competition for Romney, and these are the guys that are doing well in polls, then, okay, you get to Iowa, maybe it's split up between Cain and Gingrich and Santorum and Bachmann. That's how Romney can survive, I think. 35% could win it against this crowd.
But, Aaron, you're nodding. You think that Mr. Gingrich and Mr. Cain are not really running to be president?
For Gingrich, it's always been a matter of really bringing his stature back and showing himself to be an ideas man and having some sort of an impact on the race. He looked at running in 2008, ultimately decided against it. For Herman Cain, we're not sure. I mean, now that the guy is leading the field, maybe he is serious. But we don't know. I think it is true that probably the real alternative to Mitt Romney is Rick Perry. Rick Perry and Mitt Romney are the only two candidates who are consistently putting out press releases announcing the support that they have in a bunch of other states beyond just the early nominating states. And they are the two candidates who have real long-term campaign infrastructures. So I think there you have it, that it's really going to come down at the end to Rick Perry and Mitt Romney, despite Herman Cain's surge.
Well, I mean, I don't think that you should underestimate creativity, because as soon as we get off tonight, Steve, I'm running to my producers. I have an idea. We're going to get a guy, I'm going to smoke a cigarette and say, "Watch Politics Nation." You think that'll help me, Aaron? Aaron McKnight and Steve Kornacki, thank both of you. I'm going to do my Herman Cain. Let me see how it helps the show. Thanks, both of you.